Okay, so get this. Picture an octopus, but like not just any octopus. This one, instead of hanging out on the ocean floor, it's hanging out in a tree.
In a tree.
Yeah, sounds kind of crazy, right?
Totally wild.
But that's what we're diving into today. The Octopus sylvaticus, a tree-climbing octopus. We're going deep into this scientific paper. It's called Adaptations of the Arboreal Cephalopod Octopus sylvaticus in the Pacific Northwest.
And it's not just one scientist, you know? You've got evolutionary biologists in there, geneticists, marine physiologists. It's like a whole dream team, all trying to figure out how this creature even exists.
It's mind-boggling. Octopuses in the water, that's amazing. But trees, how did this even happen? What kind of evolutionary leap is this? Why would an octopus want to live in a tree?
Well, the thing about cephalopods, right, they're incredibly adaptable. I mean, over millions of years, they've conquered all kinds of aquatic environments. But this Octopus sylvaticus, this is something special. This is the first documented case of them going fully arboreal. It's a total change in how they live.
This is like octopus history in the making.
Mhm.
But how does an animal that's known for, like, jet propulsion through water
Right.
suddenly go, you know what, trees seem nice, I'm going to live in a tree? What would make them change their whole deal like that?
Well, we can't say for sure yet, but some scientists think climate change might be a big factor. Imagine rising sea temperatures, your food supply starts dwindling. Those ancestral octopuses, they might have been forced to explore some new digs.
Makes sense. I guess when your house floods, you've got to find a new one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's more appealing than a nice, humid rainforest?
Okay, that's a serious change of scenery. But this brings up a big question. We've all seen those videos of octopuses, like, gracefully gliding through the water.
Right.
How does that translate to climbing trees? Did they just become, like, experts in octopus parkour overnight?
Not overnight, but over many, many generations. Octopus sylvaticus, they basically traded in their jet propulsion for good old-fashioned limbs. Their arms, for example, they got longer, way stronger, and they developed these enhanced muscle fibers that let them navigate the branches.
Okay, so that makes sense. But what about those iconic octopus suckers? Those seem pretty important for an octopus.
Right.
What are they using to, like, grip the branches? It's not glue, is it?
Evolution, thankfully, had a more elegant solution. Adhesive pads.
Adhesive pads.
Yeah, think of them like sticky climbing shoes. They give the octopus insane grip on those uneven surfaces. They even developed these claw-like structures on their tentacles for some extra traction.
Wow, so this octopus, it came prepared. They weren't messing around. They didn't just adapt. They were ready to, like, conquer the whole canopy.
They really did, yeah. But adapting to those trees, man, it's a whole other ball game. We're talking about an animal that's used to water right now.
Right.
Living in a dry forest. It's like, how do they even...
Exactly. That was my next question.
Yeah.
How do they stay hydrated? Did they, like, evolve some kind of waterproof skin?
It's actually way simpler than that. Remember those adhesive pads we were talking about?
Yeah.
Those pads, they secrete this special mucus.
Mucus.
Yeah, kind of like a banana slug. It acts like a barrier, stops them from drying out.
So they're like their own portable humidifier. Clever.
Mm.
But mucus can only do so much, right? What other tricks do they have?
Well, they've gotten good at the whole nocturnal thing, staying out of that harsh daytime sun.
Makes sense.
And they tend to hang out in these super humid spots, like under moss-covered branches, you know?
So it's the slime, the shade, and a little spa treatment. But what about breathing? That's got to be a big one for an animal that's used to water.
Mhm.
Did they evolve tiny scuba tanks or something?
Not quite, but their respiratory system, it's wild. They actually still have gills, but they're, like, sealed up.
Built up.
Yeah, they've got this mantle cavity that protects them, keeps the water loss to a minimum, you see.
So they have their own little underwater breathing apparatus. Yeah. They're not underwater anymore.
Exactly.
But how are they actually getting the oxygen?
Okay, so this is where it gets really cool. Octopus sylvaticus. They've developed these lung-like adaptations, like special tissues that actually let them breathe air.
Hold on, they have gills A and D lungs. Is that even allowed?
It's a prime example of convergent evolution, right? Species in similar environments, they come up with similar solutions.
That's wild. Okay, so they've got the breathing figured out, but what about food? What's
Yeah.
on the menu for a tree-dwelling octopus? Are we talking like leaves and berries?
Not quite. They're still carnivores.
Okay, so what are they eating?
Small mammals, mostly. Birds, large insects, whatever they can catch up there in those trees.
So from jet-propelled marine hunter to agile treetop predator, That is quite the resume. But how are they catching anything in a forest? It's not like it's easy to see
You're right, it's not easy to see. Remember those dexterous tentacles?
with the claw things. Yeah.
Perfect for snatching up fast-moving prey. Plus, and this is the really cool part, they have amazing camouflage.
Camouflage. Wait, are you telling me these octopuses are also chameleons?
Kind of. They've got these special cells, chromatophores. So
Chromatophores.
them change color, blend right into their surroundings.
So they're not just changing color, they're basically disappearing. It's like an invisibility cloak.
It really is incredible.
Okay, so we've got these octopuses hunting, camouflaging, but what about baby octopuses?
Yeah.
How does reproduction work in this arboreal octopus world?
Well, get ready for this. Octopus sylvaticus reproduction. Total curveball. They basically said, forget everything you know about cephalopods.
Okay, now I really want to know, what's the big twist? Are we talking like octopus nests in the treetops? Or maybe they just went full mammal and evolved to have live births?
It's not quite that crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's still pretty wild. So these octopuses, they don't lay their eggs in the water like their ocean-dwelling relatives.
Right, because that would be a disaster.
Total disaster. They've adapted, though, found ways to deal with the challenges of, laying eggs in a forest.
Challenges like, I don't know, gravity, predators, their eggs drying out.
Exactly. They need a game plan to keep those eggs, one, moist, and two, safe. So what do? They get picky about real estate. We're talking like hidden tree hollows, crevices, those damp spots that the Pacific Northwest's kind of famous for.
So like a little rainforest nursery. But are we talking typical octopus eggs here? Or have they developed some kind of like terrestrial armor plating?
No, no armor plating, but they do have extra protection.
Okay, like what?
The eggs, they're covered in this special gelatinous layer. It's like their own little humidity chamber, keeps them moist, protects them from the elements, the whole 9 yards.
Super smart. But what about after those eggs hatch? Is there any parental care in this treetop octopus world?
I can't help but picture a little octopus dad, like, teaching its kid how to climb a tree.
Well, believe it or not, scientists have actually seen parental care in these octopuses.
Seriously?
Yeah, which is super rare for cephalopods. They've seen females guarding their clutches of eggs until they hatch. It really shows how much they've adapted to this whole tree-dwelling lifestyle.
Yeah.
Wow, this octopus, it's like breaking all the rules. Their acrobatics, their camouflage, their parenting. Honestly, they really show how amazing adaptation can be.
They really do. And you know what's even more exciting? We've only scratched the surface with Octopus sylvaticus. There's still so much to uncover.
It makes you wonder, if an octopus can go from the ocean to living in trees in a relatively short amount of time, what does that say about adaptation in other species? Especially if all the crazy environmental changes happening right now.
It's a great question. And honestly, that's why research like this, it's so crucial. It's not just about some new cool animal, right? It's about understanding how evolution itself actually works.
That's a really good point. Well, this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. Who knew trees could be so full of secrets?
And for everyone listening, if you want to learn more about these amazing creatures, join us next time. We're going to get into their specific habitat, talk about conservation efforts. It's a story you definitely won't want to miss.